Ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you to rise to your feet and warmly welcome Nick.
To give you an air hug. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I love you! 40,000 people watching the live stream right now. Thank you for having me here.
Hi, I'm here with Nicholas James Vujicic, someone who's born with no limbs at all, no hands, no legs, but he can do much, much more than I can do. Not just write, not just punch on the computer keypad. He can swim, he can skydive, he can also play golf. He does everything that you can possibly think of. But that's not why we are meeting him today. We are meeting him today because he's such an amazing, motivational, inspirational speaker. I like this in your bio, which says, life gave him lemons, but he didn't cry for oranges. Instead, he tried to make lemonade. But I'm sure growing up, you must have had some sour, bitter experiences as well.
Definitely. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be in Hyderabad for the first time. For me, I love India. I've been here 5 times, and so many people say, Nick, how did you become so positive? And definitely that was the attitude that my parents taught me to have, to be thankful for what you do have and do the best with what you have. For anyone to reach their full potential, it's never about focusing on what other people are doing as much as what are you doing with what you've been given. And so I want everyone to know that there is hope. I want people to know that definitely when I was a kid, it was difficult to believe in my value as a human being. Many people looked at me and put limits on me and never thought that I could, be who I am today. And I realized that if I first believe in my full potential and I love myself for who I am, people understand that, okay, he has no arms and no legs, but he's still a beautiful soul, spirit, and a mind. And we're all uniquely made and designed. And I want everyone to know to reach their full potential and to...
You have written about or spoken about being bullied in school, and you actually went to a mainstream school. Is that something that you would recommend? Because there are lots of children with special abilities, born differently. Do you actually recommend that people need to be mainstream? You don't put them in a separate kind of a track and say, okay, you have these skills, you don't need to do what the mainstream children do.
I think there is a beautiful hybrid of, first of all, integration, full integration, and not just for these people that have special needs or different abilities or capabilities on a mental capacity, but to be integrated into society is so important for the nation as well, so important for the next generation, for empathy and sympathy and appreciation that we all are different, but we all have value. And I think we can learn a lot from people with different needs and special needs, but also being cognizant of their own capabilities and limitations, where at least put them under the same umbrella, and then for some specific things, maybe have them as a teacher aide within the class or different classes for them. But certainly integration is something that I'm very much encouraging governments around the world to do. I've been to now 78 countries, and I've been to 24 presidential offices and prime ministers around the world, and actually speaking about special needs integration in society and education systems in multiple governments around the world.
And you were so right. It's not just about children with special abilities, but it's about any child could be going through that. Any adult could be going through that feeling of inadequacy or feeling victimized, being bullied. How do you suggest children cope with this? I understand that it is the others who need to cope, actually, to learn to, be inclusive of everyone. But tell us more about your growing up years and how you overcame that.
Definitely every day there were those fears that crippled me more than having no arms and no legs. What kind of future do I really look forward to? Am I really going to get married? Am I really going to get a job? Am I really going to become independent? And at that time, no one knew that Nick would become #1 in chess and mathematics and become a trader on the stock market at age 16 and real estate investor at age 19. And
wow, I didn't know all that.
A nonprofit organization founder at 2005, and we've given now $3 million to the poor and needy all around the world. We've actually given to some things out here in India and Mumbai. And so I love India. And so I want people to know that back then, you can't see the future. How could it be that a kid with no arms and legs can be the hands and feet of love? But it was the ability first to break through that first barrier, which is my acceptance of me and the world's acceptance of me. Now, you're not going to always be friends with everyone, but I want everyone to know, don't ever be an enemy to anybody. Do not ever stand in the way of someone else's full potential, because you have no idea what your voice can actually do, or your judgment upon them, or your discouragement can ever do. Same thing, flip the coin. You have no idea how much empowerment your encouragement can be for someone else. So it's not just stopping bullying. It's about understanding that we all have value, and when someone says you're not good enough, get a second opinion. You don't have to look like them. You don't have to be like them. You don't have to even believe like them. We are all individual, uniquely made. And so I want everyone to know that together we are stronger. And India needs more people in India to help more people in India, not to divide. We're weaker when we divide. And so to come together. So number one, tell someone when someone's bullying you. Tell that bully, secondly, to stop. Thirdly, get some friends and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Can you be my witness? Sometimes it works when you tell a teacher, sometimes it doesn't. But I really want everyone to know that in every school, any moving of the needle program is only going to really be effective to stop bullying when it's student-led. And so I actually, it's one thing to talk to the administrations and teachers and policy, but really it comes down to the heart of the students, where they realize, oh my goodness, I had no idea that so many people are thinking of committing suicide in my school because of bullying at my school. And so I'm actually an expert in many governments right now, where I've done anonymous surveys, and I get everyone to bow their heads, close their eyes. I'm not doing it here in India, but in some countries, they allow me to bow their head, close their eyes, put their hand in the air, and say, with everyone doing this, put your hand in a fist if you've actually thought of committing suicide. And in America, it's 6 to 12%.
You probably need to do that in India as well, because we have such worrying numbers of children.
And it is. And it's so scary when I also say, put your hand in a fist if you actually attempted suicide because of bullying at school. And what we have seen is that 1 to 2% of all students in America who've actually attempted suicide, 1 to 2% of the school population have attempted suicide because of a broken home or bullying at school. And so 40% of the reason for 40% of the reason for suicide in America is because of bullying at school. And we've done that across 300 schools. And so that's my heart, because you asked me how was my childhood. It was terrible. It was depressing. I cried myself to sleep. I tried to drown myself in 15 centimeters of water in my bathtub at age 10 because I didn't believe there was hope. Why? I knew I had no arms and legs, but I didn't think it was such a big deal until I went to school and I was bullied for it. And so this is to me, the true question of your north and your compass. Who are you? Who do you think you are compared to others? And who do they think you are compared to them? Here in India, like never before, with what we've all gone through the last 3 years, depression is up, anxiety is up, addiction is up, and loneliness is up, and the thoughts of suicide is also up. So we must communicate.
From when you grew up, probably now we talk even about cyberbullying, which is very invisible to parents. They really don't know what's happening in a child's life.
Correct, yeah. And we must do all that we can to have those conversations and realize, hey, and come from an approach in your home to say, look, don't ask them, are you being bullied? They're going to feel confrontational. Is there bullying going on in school? Has anyone ever told you at school that they've actually been thinking of committing suicide? Tell me, what are your friends going through? For real. And they'll be like, what's going on? Because there is a wave that some countries are realizing, you know what, there is a silent depression right now across the whole generation. And yes, we can have, if you will, ambitions to have our own company or find a job and go to the university and get the college degree and get married. But really, I tell everyone right now, if you're not happy with where you are at now and you're not thankful with what you have now, It's something that we must address, and it's a heart issue of gratefulness and appreciating one another.
You spoke about accepting yourself first, whoever you are. There's also this thing about parents accepting who the child is, isn't it? Not just a special child, but any child, because we build up so many dreams about, maybe what we didn't achieve, and we think the child needs to do that for us. That acceptance, because this is something that we hope parents also will watch, children will watch, policymakers will watch, teachers will watch. How important is that acceptance?
Yes. Look, it is wonderful to be able to tell your student or your child, do your best, do your best, do your best. When I didn't perform, my mom and dad only asked me one question: did you do your best? And I said yes. And they said, that's all I can ask for. They knew that I couldn't be 100% at this and 100% at that. We all know we can't be perfect. In fact, though, the major reason in Asia, Greater Asia, suicide is pressure to perform.
Yeah.
And we put that upon our own children in such an unfair way. Now, not to let them get away and be spoiled with anything. No, my parents didn't give me anything I wanted, when I wanted it, how I wanted it, because then I would never be thankful for anything. But they did tell me, do your best. So I vacuumed, just to give you an example. I have no limbs. My parents had nothing when they were poor, when they were 6 years old and 15 years old. And so they taught me how to pick up my vacuum cleaner and work for $2 a week. And if I want a toy from the store, I buy it with my own money. Okay? They taught me how to save money and give me dignity, have goal setting, and an attitude of gratitude. But when it came to, Nick, what do you want to do in your life? What is success to you? And what's my parents' expectations of success? We don't know where Nick's going to end up being. He can't be anything, but we want him to do his best and find his passion. Now, at that point, I wanted to become a speaker. My parents said, that is crazy. They didn't expect me to be a speaker. It was a different...
You weren't as articulate and as charming as
Well, in 2002, motivational speaking was zero in Australia, okay? If there was a motivational speaker in Australia, they came from America. So it wasn't a known industry to be in, if you will. But they said, look, if that's what you want to do, make sure you have at least plan B. Fall back on accounting and financial planning. And it gave me a wonderful foundation in business and entrepreneurship, now having a financial degree in financial planning and accounting. And so that was a negotiation between me and my mom and my dad. And I just want you to know, your child, there is no other child like your child. And each child that you have, we discipline differently. We connect with differently because they're all different. And so please understand that we can't just expect our children to be 100% in anything and everything, because we also were not. But let's do all that we can. Don't focus so much on their weaknesses academically. My advice, focus on their strengths so they can excel, because their strengths is mostly what they're passionate about.
That's such an important piece of advice, because where I come from, India, children are pressured to do well.
Yes.
Obviously, because there is so much of competition, one can understand that. But the logic will also be that, okay, unless I push my child, he is not going to excel, she is not going to excel. And how much of a push am I giving? That's really cannot be, quantified at all, because as you mentioned rightly, maximum number of deaths by suicide seem to happen because of the pressure of performance itself. In something like this, I find children very often, you speak about a purpose of life. That's a very confusing gray area for most people. Is there, do I need to have a purpose in life? I mean, I study because I need to get a job and I need to make money tomorrow. But how important was that concept of purpose of life? And when you talk to people, what do you tell them? Is that something that makes life more meaningful?
Most people around the world say that, look, when you live for a greater purpose that's bigger than yourself, you have that bigger true north on your compass, if you will. Now, there's nothing wrong with money, but putting your security and love in money itself, or thinking that you're going to be more happy when you get married or more happy when you have children, I want people to know, first of all, sure, there's a lot of problems out there in the world. 70 million people are human trafficked. 25,000 people are dying of starvation today. 25,000 people dying of starvation tomorrow. And so I've been sponsoring poor children since age 19 all across the world, and we try and do our best. And so what we must understand is that, yes, we need to make the world a better place, but you're not going to make the world a better place till you make your own first, your school a better school, your neighborhood a better neighborhood. In that concept, that thread, yes, that in itself, framed that way, helps us to also get out of depression. When you're depressed, not only should you write out a list of the 10 things you're thankful for and maybe talk to a counselor about the difficulties that you're going through, but also go help someone else in need. And when you help someone else in need who can't even thank you back for that gift or whatever that is the way I believe that us humans are created and designed to actually make the world a better place. And that gives us an ability to rise above our own circumstances, to take our focus off our circumstances and see, okay, I didn't get a miracle, but I can still be a miracle for somebody else. And that's what I love. And we all have our religious philosophies and, ideologies about eternity as well. And everyone has a different religion. I love the fact that there's different people with different religions, and I love everyone. But I'll say it this way. For me, when we look at eternity, not only do we make a difference here on earth, but we also make a difference in eternity. And so for me, whether I have arms and legs for 90 years or not, it doesn't matter. What we do here, though, counts for now and for eternity.
I like that line too, where, I think you have written a book saying that attitude is altitude, not so much your aptitude.
Yes.
Say that to our children, because I love that word attitude. We usually, there's a kind of a game where you give numbers to the alphabets and attitude works out to the total 100%. If you say A is 1 and so on and so forth. And I love saying that to children. Please explain about what you meant by attitude is altitude.
Yeah, look, I just want everyone to understand that, how high you fly in life, there's going to be storms in life, but if you actually have the right attitude, you know what happens when you're in a plane and there's a storm? They fly above the storm, right? We know it's cloudy, but above the storm, it's calm. And so I want you to know that storms will come, but to put the storm beneath you, it doesn't mean the storm's not there. But I want you to know that your attitude in your gratefulness, being thankful for what you have, doing your best, not seeing failure as like this defining status of who you are, but failure as your classroom. You are going to fail. You are going to fall. You are going to go through storms. But you don't become resilient without resistance. When you don't try and become allergic of adversity, but face resistance, that's when you become resilient. And so I want you to know you can overcome. You will overcome. Love yourself, and let's together make India a better place. But it starts with you and your attitude. Don't be ever thinking that someone owes you something. You have life. You have arms and legs. Maybe you're in a wheelchair. Whatever your situation is, today you're breathing. Your story isn't over yet. We all can bring in more light into this world. But let's be thankful and let's be joyous, because we have still a lot to be thankful for.
Okay, before we let you go, I need you to talk about your lovely family.
Oh, my family. I love my family. Look, my wife and I, she's half Japanese, half Mexican. We call that Japsican. And we fell in love, and we've been married now for 11 years. 4 children, a 9 and 7-year-old son, and twin girls who are 5 years old. And actually right now, me and my wife, we're starting paperwork to adopt a child. In America, there are 500,000 children waiting for a foster home or an adopting home. And me and my wife, we feel the calling to take a child that's not ours, but really love them as if they were ours. And so we're so excited about that. And I also want to announce this. You're the first media channel to announce this. I'm going to give you a slide. We bought a domain. We bought a domain called nickvlovesindia.com. And if you go to that page, if any of you, this is exclusively for India, if any of you go and like the page and you comment on that page below and you follow me there, I want to hear your comments. Me and my family, we're going to be giving away $5,000 to a nonprofit organization right here in India. And I want you to give me comments on nonprofits to look up. And then we're going to make a decision within 7 days from now where that $5,000 gift goes. So please go to nickvlovesindia.com. We'd love to see your comments there. We want to give back to India.
Okay. Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you. And
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you so
Just
much. Give me a hug.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Love you. Thank
So-
you.
Going back with these inspirational words, attitude is altitude, and life without limits, and that other one, ridiculously good life, inspiration for a ridiculously good life. I love that. Great life, is it?
Thank you.
Ridiculously.
It's a ridiculously good life.
Yes, thank you so much. In Hyderabad with camera person Nagraju, Sudhir, NDTV.
Love you. Bye-bye.